there's different I start to look at there's different variations of this. There's one that just lights the back of the TV as just a light. There's one that actually does stuff that goes to music, and then there's one like I got here that reads the TV and then it adjusts the lights to the back of it, and then it connects to all sorts of stuff. I didn't know that that was possible until I started to do the digging. And so one of the things that I want to think about today is our ability to understand change and complexity in our client's business. If we understand those things, we understand the questions, we understand the insights, we understand the types of things that we share with them, then we can start to show them things they might not be aware of. If we're only solving the problem that they say, hey, this is what I want, then we're running the risk of now having to try and sell them stuff that they don't want. But if we understand what they need, then we're going to be willing to challenge them. Then we can ask better questions. We can share better insights. We can move them along. I grabbed a whole bunch of books that I thought will be meaningful for this. There you go. There's the stack that I was looking at, and just in terms of examples. And a lot of the stuff that I'm looking at here is about change, is about complexity. So the complexity advantage is a good one. Our immunity to change, leading through change. These are important ones when we're thinking about business, is how to understand the stuff that our customers are going through, that complexity side. And then, of course, we're looking at influence, how we're doing that. Power of co-creation is another good book, and really how we're pitching our offer. So I want you to think from in this webinar today is just really thinking through when I'm talking to my client, when I'm talking to people in my network, when I'm talking to even potential partners, what's the stuff that they might not see that I can maybe connect the dots with? That's the purpose of this. Anything else, Kendall, before I click down arrow on my computer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a large part of this too is thinking about how can I be a partner to my clients and or position myself as a partner to prospects and providing them something of value based upon their need versus being in a position of selling them something. And so a large part of what we've been putting together at the ISPA and these webinars is positioning you more as a consultative problem solver versus leading with the product or the one solution that you offer.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and that's there we go. We talked about, and we've got this in a couple different areas. I'm not sure if we've talked about this before, but this is always something as a good visual tool for me, is to think, okay, what do I know about the potential value of the people I'm working with? Do I know kind of like right away, what can I charge them? What percentage of my business are these? If we're doing like a fee-based planner where we have a whole bunch of clients, how many clients do we have to go through that we charge a very specific fee for a project? Then we can start to think, well, what other kind of projects or products could we sell those people? We talked about this when we talk about the market expansion type stuff. And then, of course, what are my conversions? Where do I do my best work? If I'm trying to sell a high ticket offer, a premium service, am I good at selling that? Where do I have the best leverage? And of course, where do we have these upsells, cross sells, downsells, all these ways that we can move them through? And then looking at our customers more from the lens of lifetime value versus how do I sell them this thing right now? Sometimes it makes sense to sell them nothing right now for the sake of selling them lots of stuff long term. Because as Kendall said, if you take this sort of partnership mentality, what's the best way I can help somebody? If I'm looking at, they say, I really need to solve this problem right now. If we understand how to connect the dots, how to create that need, how to look long term, we might see a better opportunity for them to do something, even if it means, hey, I think you guys need to work on this stuff right now so that we're in a position to do these things. You have a couple examples you were talking about earlier, Kendall.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing, for example, personal financial planning, that the service or the solution that you provide is developing a strategy to make sure that an individual is taken care of after retirement and or whatever their financial goals are. So that could be the someone comes to you and says, I need to pick up a piece of, lack of a better term, a piece of meat, and you go, well, here's a fork. And so you're just immediately providing them that solution versus saying, why do you want to pick up that piece of meat? What's the purpose of that? There could be 5 or 6 other solutions that you provide because you dig deeper and you're wanting to understand what the core and the root of the issue is. And then because of that, naturally upsells, conversions, and all that stuff begin to happen because you're understanding what the root cause is versus just solving what they believe their surface problem is. And that's where position yourself more as the partner and digging in deep and doing the, I would say the, um, investigative work to understand what are the motivations, what are they trying to achieve, what is getting in the way. You can then identify much more of of the needs, and then you're in a position to be able to facilitate that. And I kind of look at it as a cruise director. You may have that answer for them immediately, or you're going to help facilitate where they can find it and partner and create those options and those connections for them.
Absolutely. And we talked about this again, scarcity. And I need a higher resolution photo of this, but I just like pictures of silly animals. This one, I always think about this. Exactly what we're saying is adopted. I don't need the business mindset. This is something I always think about. We want everybody. We don't need everybody. And sometimes taking on the wrong projects, the wrong clients, the wrong challenges does more damage to our business than it does help us. And so when we think about this is how are we putting this in our mind to say, okay, how do I have better conversations that might lead to long-term success? Premium offers don't come typically from a one-call close. They don't come from a, hey, I just met you, let's sit down and talk about it, and I'm going to sell you everything. If you're going to close them in one call, it's only because you've got trust that's already built in, you've got a warm referral, you've got a relationship, you've got something that you can validate that from, you've already built something, some kind of goodwill that allows them to move forward with you. Most of the time, you have to spend all of this time to make that stuff look easy. But when you adopt that, I don't need this business if it doesn't make sense. But when you see that there's an opportunity to help somebody win, you should be salivating, being like, oh man, how do we make this work? What do we have to do? And the more complex and the more stuff you're going to help them with, of course, the more you can charge. But that does come from doing all that stuff. This is the one I always talk about, 2 words that make puppies really sad: discounting and chasing, right? We never want to think about, how do we make this cheaper? I hear this all the time. I'm chasing these clients around. Nobody's getting back to me. If you're finding that these 2 words are coming into your vocabulary, we need to fix how we're positioning our offers, how we're positioning our messaging, how we're positioning ourselves as a trusted partner. Because a discount, you should be able to feel really good about charging something that is meaningful, that is for value, that a customer is excited to pay, even if they're a little bit uncomfortable. It's outside of their budget that they thought of, but they're going, hey man, if people that pay, they pay attention. And so that's going to be really important, that we want them to chase us. We don't want to be